When you need refueling fast, you can rely on Mrs. Max. Tasty, easy, speedy. If it's not a Mrs. Max, take it back.
Black Duck seat covers are bred for adventure. We're a family-owned company making Aussie-made seat covers. Our range of high-quality materials provides strength, performance and comfort. Perfect for all those Aussies who work hard and play harder. Black Duck seat covers can handle everyday adventures. Put them to the test. Get yours today from one of our trusted resellers nationwide or visit blackduck.com.au for more information.
The BP Supercars All-Star E-Series is proudly brought to you by BP Ultimate. Clean engine, ultimate performance. Tonight on the BP Supercars All-Stars E-Series, Supercars land at the world-famous Spa circuit, home of the Belgian Grand Prix. Adding Formula One flavour, McLaren's rising superstar Lando Norris takes on Supercars' finest.
I'm super excited to announce I'm going to be joining the Supercars grid in Spa.
Plus, we've added 3 young guns. Red Bull Junior Jack Doohan joins us, and Dunlop Super 2 hotshots Brock Feeney and Jaden Ojeda leap in for their crack at the sim. And former champion James Courtney is back. The 7 kilometres of Spa is as good as racetracks get. That's tonight on the BP Supercars All-Stars E-Series.
Good evening and welcome to round 5 of the BP Supercars All-Stars E-Series. It's great to have your company. Well, a format shake-up tonight. 3 races at the famous and prestigious Spa circuit in Belgium. It is a very good evening to Neil Crompton and Matty White, who join me for all of the fun. Evening, gentlemen. Ready to go racing. What a mix of youth and experience we have in and amongst the wildcards tonight. Lando Norris, a rising star in Formula One. Red Bull Junior driver Jack Doohan joining the ranks. And 2010 Supercars champion James Courtney, back for more Supercars.
Yeah, it's a fantastic lineup and thoroughly enjoying this battle in the competition that we've got going at the moment. It's got all the challenges of the mental skill without the engineering input, without all the feeling that goes on around inside a race car. But you look at that point scenario at the moment, you've got a tremendous battle going on with our championship leader, Scott McLaughlin. And look at the names around him, Cam Waters, Shane Van Gisbergen, Andre Heimgartner. And the big question is, can Anton claw back? He's had more armour all poles than any other driver. He's got tremendous pace. There is the point score. And so he's done an amazing job in his one-lap scenarios and shootouts, but what can he do when it comes to racing, Matty?
You're loving the battle. I'm loving this venue for tonight.
Yes.
Who doesn't love Spa, right? We can't wait to get there. And I also like the fact that we get to go back and concentrate on just the one circuit this evening. You said, yes, round 5 of the championship, so we're halfway through. We've had big crashes, crazy racing. I reckon tonight the level's going to go up a notch at this circuit.
It's just building week in, week out, isn't it? And as you say, round 5, these weeks are really flying before our eyes. Well, let's get to our Coopers live chat. We've got Lando Norris standing by on the line for us. Hey, Lando, it is fantastic to have you as part of the Supercars E-Series tonight, lining up for Walkinshaw and Andretti United. What happened in qualifying, though?
I mean, not a lot happened because it all ended in turn 1. So I just over pushed a bit. Yeah, it's a tricky corner. It's a tricky corner in this car. You know, I'm used to going through it flat out in pretty much every single car I've ever driven, and this car's a bit of a beast, and you have to handle it very differently to what I'm used to. So when it came down to it, I just tried a bit too hard, over pushed, and that's like the last thing that this car wants in terms of how to be driven. So was a mistake. Hasn't put me too far back, luckily, but it makes my job harder for the race.
So tell us, what are the biggest challenges of driving a virtual supercar?
Everything. I guess the braking and the acceleration. That's just the handling of the car is a lot slower. It's a much heavier car than what I'm used to, and a lot less downforce, obviously. So you have to drive it in a much calmer manner. You have to be very patient and slow with your inputs, and you have to do the heel and towing and the blipping for the down changes. So it's very different to what I'm used to, but it's such a cool car. It's one of my favorite cars, or probably my favorite car to drive. So yeah, it's going to be very exciting.
Well, we love to hear that. It's fantastic to have you on board. Have fun. We'll catch up with you a little later tonight.
Cheers.
All right, let's take a closer look now at the Spa circuit with Scott Pye, thanks to Logitech.
Spa is one of the coolest places that I've ever been to. I remember I did it in Formula 3 and I was so excited about getting there and doing my first laps. I actually got food poisoning though on the Friday of the event, and it was one of the worst weekends, other than actually Newcastle last year. But the circuit itself was unbelievable. It was so fast. I remember Pooh on the fast left-hander that just keeps on going. It was awesome fun. So lots of slipstreaming, lots of drafting. I think that place is going to give us plenty of opportunity to overtake.
Very challenging circuit, and it's caught a lot out in qualifying, Crompo. Shane van Gisbergen taking the Armour All pole for the first race this evening, race 15 of our E-Series Championship. But there were quite a number who didn't even get a lap in, including Lando Norris.
Yeah, a whole bunch of people got trapped with track limits around here. So we'll recap some of the action from the battle for the Armour All pole. Ultimately, it did go to Shane van Gisbergen. He had the provisional pole too from qualifying a little bit earlier. But we saw 4 big names make mistakes in their shootout run, but a tremendous drive by Shane van Gisbergen in the number 97 Red Bull Holden, and he came home by a margin of almost 0.5 of a second, so a significant gap over the rest of the field. He's actually been there 3 times in his GT career, and he was very, very quick. He was the fastest and on provisional pole in a McLaren GT car in 2016, but unfortunately the engine lunged itself in the shootout, so he didn't get the job done finally. But he's got form at this racetrack and he's applying it very well, and obviously his knowledge here is fantastic.
Yeah, real or virtual, doesn't matter.
Exactly.
Shane van Gisbergen is the guy to beat. All right, stay with us. Coming up next, it's race 15 of the BP Supercars All-Stars E-Series. As we do head to this quick break, let's take a look at Will Davison's sim setup, thanks to Repco.
Hey guys, Will Davison here. My turn for Show Us Your Rig. Fortunately for you, I'm going to show you my simulator that I've been using. So we've got this pretty trick bit of kit, custom built frame by Bryce Washington and Jared Filsell, both well known in the gaming industry. They've got the ergonomics absolutely spot on. So I've got this Race Tech seat, which is exactly what I use in the race car. The steering wheel I'm using, this week I've gone to the Cube controlled Formula 1 Pro wheel. Importantly, it's a direct drive semi-cube steering system, which gives you really good feel and feedback and accuracy. I've got this awesome Jinx shifter sequential gear shifting unit, which was made up. I've got the gear stick, which I've adjusted, very accurate to the race car, which I use. I'm not cheating with the pedals like some. I've got a brake bias adjuster here, which is really nice. Obviously the screen, some people go triple screen. I've got the Samsung ultra wide 49-inch QLED, 144 megahertz. The refresher rate and the speed of your screen actually makes life really helpful. We've got the sound bar here, a really fast gaming computer PC, 1080 Ti. We've got butt kickers. I've got 5 butt kickers through the simulator, which are controlled by 2 amplifiers under the seat and for each corner of the sim, which gives you a bit of feel when you hit curbs and slide around. And down to the pedal box, you know, a really crucial aspect of sim racing. That's a Hughes & Felt pedal box with load cells. I've got rubbers behind the brake pedal there, which I've been playing with, which can control how hard or soft or how much travel you've got with the brake pedal. Also got really good modulation with that as well. So it's been a pretty amazing learning curve. The sim's certainly much better than I am, but I've got my DIY sponsor boards as well. went to Bunnings and made these up myself. Absolutely beautiful, I reckon. Pretty happy with that. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun. So cheers, guys.
Insurance for motoring enthusiasts.
Like Dad, I've always been a Ford man. The Falcon Squire wagon was unloved in 1964, but turns heads today. The Americans call them woodies, but the panelling, it's just fiberglass and plastic. But it's a passion that Shannon's understands, which is why my Fords are insured with Shannon's. And now, so's the home.
Call Shannon's on 13 46 46. Shannon's, insurance for motoring enthusiasts.
Hi, my name's Bert, and I'm a big fan of the supercars.
Huge damage!
It's my job to make sure everything's clean. It's pretty easy to keep things clean while the drivers are working from home. Oh, Rick, you're getting crumbs everywhere. It's a lot easier to clean things up in the E-Series.
Push of a button, he's back in pit lane.
Still, not as easy as keeping your engine clean using BP Ultimate.
Black Duck seat covers are bred for adventure. We're a family-owned company making Aussie-made seat covers. Our range of high-quality materials provides strength, performance and comfort. Perfect for all those Aussies who work hard and play harder. Black Duck seat covers can handle everyday adventures. Put them to the test. Get yours today from one of our trusted resellers nationwide or visit blackduck.com.au for more information.
Go.
When you need refueling fast, you can rely on Mrs. Max. Tasty, easy, speedy. If it's not a Mrs. Max, take it back.
The BP Supercars All-Star E-Series is proudly brought to you by Shannon's, insurance for motoring enthusiasts.
Welcome back to round 5 of the BP Supercars All-Stars E-Series. We are getting set for race 15 of this championship. Shane Van Gisbergen will start from pole. He has 4 so far to his name in this E-Series, and he's got runs on the board at Spa, in the real world and the virtual world too. For all the vital stats for race 15, let's jump into the Hino Hub now with Neil.
And we're visiting one of the all-time race circuits, Jess. Spa is a mega racetrack, 7 kilometres around here. We're going to have an 8-lap sprint race, or 20 minutes this evening for our first of 3. It's 7 kilometres, 20-odd turns, 19 or 20 turns, depending on how you want to count them. Just over 50-odd kilometres of racing. Fuel's not going to be an issue, but there are a couple of places around this racetrack where you need to keep a very keen eye out. The run through Eau Rouge down there at turn 1, because we're using the support paddock pit lane and start-finish line. The run up to Lake Com at turn 5 is a hot spot. In the right-hander down at Rivage, that's a place where passes can be made and mistakes can be made as well. And the bus stop down there at 17 always provides a heap of action where they've got to come in there from hugely high speeds, get the cars back to first gear, get the direction changed twice and out the other side. There will be a compulsory stop, 75 points to win. We've locked the temperature, which is a rarity at Spa. I've been there. It's hot, it's cold, it's windy, it rains, it's hot, it's cold, and that's all in the space of 15 minutes. And the predicted stop will happen somewhere between laps 1 and 5. This is a great racetrack. Being able to present supercars in this location is a great thrill.
And if only we could do that in the real world, lock in the temperature and the weather. Let's cross now to Jack Doohan, one of our wildcards this evening. He's standing by. Hey, Jack, great to have you on board for our Supercars E-Series. What are you expecting tonight at Spa?
Yeah, I think there's going to be quite a lot of bumps and a bit of carnage. So I'm starting not where I wanted to be. So I'm just going to have to try and stay quite careful and make it around the first lap and then go from there.
Now, Jack, have you got your dad lurking in the background? Is he going to be part of the pit crew for you tonight?
Yeah, definitely. So hopefully, we can get the pit stop sorted and Dad can try and, get in there as much as possible and help me out. As I don't really have a spotter or engineer, but we'll do the best we can.
I reckon it'll be pretty handy for you. Great to have you on board. As I said, have fun tonight. We'll catch up with you a little later.
Thank you very much.
All right, let's take a look at our Truck Assist starting grid now. And Maddie, Shane Van Gisbergen and Anton De Pasquale off the start. This is a battle we're getting used to, isn't it?
Yet again, you mentioned Shane Van Gisbergen's 4th pole position. The Armour All pole goes to him again. He's also got 4 race wins in this series. Scotty McLaughlin and Bryce Fullwood will be on row 2. Cameron Waters and Jaden Ojeda, positions 5 and 6. And then 7 goes to Lando Norris, but 7, 8, 9 and 10 were the 4 drivers who were penalised for exceeding track limits in their shootout lap. We go to position 11. Andre Heimgartner has been ultra consistent, the yellow cover racer of Gary Jacobson. Next to him, Super Cheap Auto Car 55 at Jack LeBrock. Another wild card, Brock Feeney, will get away from position 14. Then it's Lee Holdsworth, the Truck Assist entry. Shell V-Power racer of Fabian Coulthard, Todd Hazelwood and Zane Goddard. Side by side, Davey Reynolds, the Penrite racer, has Jamie Whincup, who won the last race last week, next to him. Macaulay Jones for Cool Drive, DeWalt racer of Scotty Pye, make up those positions. Then it's Mark Winterbottom and Alex Davison. He's had some almighty crashes in this series, Alex. Jake Kostecki, the NTI racer, car 344, Rick Kelly alongside him. There's Jack Doohan. So we're looking at car 33 for Jack, the Red Bull racer with Chris Pither alongside him. Jack Smith. And a welcome return to the Supercars, albeit virtually, to James Courtney. Here we go. Bring on Spa. That's the Truck Assist starting grid for race number 15 of the BP Supercars All-Stars E-Series. Can't wait to see how Lando Norris is going to go in the Mobil 1 Arrow race.
Set to go racing with 30 supercars, some international superstars in the field, some wild cards in the field, and plenty to look at. Great start by Shane Van Gisbergen. Pole tyre run now towards Eau Rouge for the very first time. And he's got McLaughlin climbing all over the back of him. They've got to respect track limits at this location. Anton De Pasquale drops up into 2nd place. And Bryce Fullwood in the Mobil 1 Middies entry is in 4th. And looking down the inside on the Camel Straight, the run up to Lake Com for the very first time. And moving to try and shake the slipstream is Van Gisbergen. De Pasquale. Now it's McLaughlin up into 3rd. Followed by Fullwood, then Waters, who's 2nd in the championship, followed by Chaz Mostert. Lando Norris is lurking around there as well.
Yeah, contact at the back there, but Lando Norris has made up 4 spots since the start, so a good start for the Englishman. Van Gisbergen has a 0.3 of a second lead over the man that we just know he's going to be battling with all evening, Anton De Pasquale. Van Gisbergen, Scotty McLaughlin slots into 3rd behind him. Here's Bryce Fullwood getting attacked from Cam Waters as they start the descent. Fullwood in the Middies 1 entry just gets it locked up and he loses a couple of positions. Norris makes a claim there.
Terrific start by Van Gisbergen, who had tremendous pace in Armour All qualifying, was able to open up the gap. This is a long, complex lap. Tyres hurt around this racetrack. And I said before, and the boys said in the qualifying show, you've got to be very careful you don't exceed track limits too much. Too many incident points can accumulate against the drivers. That's Lando Norris in the bottom right-hand corner of screen. And we've got Cam Waters there as well in the Monster Energy Ford Mustang. And Lando tucked right in behind it. The Mobil 1 and Arrow Racing has a look down the inside. Not quite there. Lando made a big mistake in the shootout and it cost him dearly. And what a story he is in international motorsport. 11th in the World Championship last year for McLaren in Formula 1. And he makes a nice move down the inside into the bus stop, back to first gear, and has effectively pulled that off without locking up, didn't run wide, and has done it nicely. Now, remembering that in Formula 1, that's the start-finish line, but we are not using that configuration tonight, and it's a bit of a trap for young players.
It sure is. Takes us down to La Source, turn number 19. As we now release onto the front straight, which is our start-finish line for this evening. So your order, after one lap here at Spa, Shane van Gisbergen leading from Anton De Pasquale. Then it's Scotty McLaughlin. Lando Norris has his hands full again with Cameron Waters, who wants that position back. Bryce Fullwood, Chaz Mostert, Nick Percat got a pretty good start as well. He's in 8th. Andre Heimgartner and Jack LeBrock.
Bunnings Trade power pass, power play. We're going to watch Lando make a cool move here. The 20-year-old down the inside. The Englishman knows exactly where he needs to be. He does it on the dirty side of the road. He doesn't lock up. He gets it back to first gear. Cam thought about a little nose-to-tail touch. That didn't eventuate, and away they scoot out the other side. Among other things, in his incredible junior credential career, Lando was actually the Toyota Racing Series champion in New Zealand in the open wheelers over there in 2016. He was a Formula 3 champion in 2017. He was runner-up in Formula 2 the year before he joined the Formula 1 field, and he's already made his presence felt with a couple of second placings in Formula 1, so already off to a ripping start. And actually, McLaughlin said to me earlier in the day, I expect him to be potentially the pick of the pack. He is super quick.
Mobil 1. Appliances online racer of Chaz Mostert got past his teammate there, Bryce Fullwood, so that's for position number 6.
Van Gisbergen's got a margin. It's almost a second now, so he's safely able to position the car where he wants to without dragging Anton along in the draft. But Anton's potentially vulnerable to McLaughlin. He's got him reasonably close at the moment. Then we've got McLaughlin followed by Norris, Waters, Mostert and Fullwood. As always, we've got our Pertec pit reporters standing by in Melbourne, Chad Nailon and Jonathan Simon, observing what's happened in these early laps. What are your thoughts, young Chad?
Good evening, guys. Yeah, unfortunately, as many of us have become at some time in our life, Jonathan, fallen ill to the internet gods, and it seems that's what's happened to Brock Feeney in his very first start as a wildcard.
Yeah, very bizarre. We're not even sure if he was sitting on a grid, but he certainly had some issues and pulled it back into pit lane. So he'll almost certainly start from pole in the reverse grid race unless something goes wrong for one of the drivers ahead.
Yeah, so just going to sell that silver lining for Brock. He's a Super 2 megastar on the way up through his future, hopefully. At least he'll be on the pole for the reverse grid race.
And he's got time on his side. He's 17 years, Chad. He's got plenty of years left to be able to tell some better stories. I know his dad, Paul, very well, and he raced in the Toyota 86 Racing Series. This is an awesome shot. This is Eau Rouge, where you do not get through there flat in a supercar. You can in a Formula 1 car when it's light and gripped up on young tyres. And Matty, I parked myself a few years ago under the grandstand on the other side there and just watched the harmony and the sensation of top flight Formula 1 cars and drivers through there when they are committed, and it was a remarkable sight. In fact, always think about that location, the extraordinary shoulder-to-shoulder battle that Fernando Alonso and Mark Webber had a few years back.
Yeah, the incline is quite incredible, isn't it? Releases them onto Kemmel Straight, takes them up through Le Combe, and then they begin the downhill from what is tonight turn 7 all the way down towards Stavelot.
And it's a huff and puff up and downhill around here. It's got a heck of a lot more undulation and rise and fall than necessarily meets the eye via the camera. So it's a long, complex lap. It's just a whisker over 7 kilometres around here, and it punishes tyres, and that's going to be a factor as the night unfolds. Andre Heimgartner for Ned Racing, car number 7. Remember, he's been very consistent so far in the series. He's sitting nicely in the points and is well positioned inside the top 10 in 8th at the moment. There is car number 93 on screen. That is Brock Feeney in the Tickford Mustang. And he was Kumho Series champion in 2019, and he's already off to a healthy start in the Dunlop Super 2 Series. He's part of a couple of wildcards that have joined the field for tonight. Red Bull Junior and international racer Jack Doohan joins us. Jaden O'Jade has done a very good job already in qualifying. He's part of the Dunlop Super 2 field. And Brock's out there as well, who's being fostered into the sport and helped by Paul Morris.
Riding with the Truck Assist Racing Tickford Mustang of Lee Holdsworth, comes off his best result of the series, 4th at Watkins Glen in race 13. He's got Will Davison ahead of him, who was 9th in the championship on the podium in the reverse grid race at Bathurst, and 4th at Montreal last week, and then it just all went pear-shaped for the 23 Red Racer. So your order, Van Gisbergen, 0.6 of a second lead over De Pasquale. Then Scotty McLaughlin, Lando Norris holding fire in position 4, so he's fought off Cam Waters' attack. Chaz Mostert, Bryce Fullwood, Jack LeBrock slotted into 8th, and Heimgartner has gone gone into pit lane.
And as Lee Holdsworth comes in, those of you that were eagle-eyed in the background, when we had Lee up on screen a moment ago, you might just have seen a tiny little peep of a face in the background. That's Thomas Randall, who's engineer and spotter for him at the moment. Now, remember in the old days in touring car racing when Brock used to do it all the time, jump out of one car, get in another and still find a way to the podium. What Lee's done, sort of similar, he's jumped out of his sim and he's in Thomas Randall's sim tonight, so he's looking for better gear, still cloaked in the truck assist colours that we regularly see, so well done Lee. And he's taken the opportunity to get in there at the moment. They're looking to get on those fresh tyres and get out, get a clean run, not be interfered with by traffic. They've got to respect the blend lines, try that in English, and then get going once more. That was Nick Percat, the Dunlop Super Dealers entry, just sneaking through. Meantime, Van Gisbergen's not yet stopped. So first car in the field that has actually taken the first or the compulsory stop in this race is Nick Percat.
Just the one stop in this race and the next. We'll have 2 stops in the last race of the evening. A longer race, 14 laps will be race 17. So, as Jess mentioned at the very top, we're mixing it up tonight. Reverse grid for next will determine the grid, and for the final race, it will be accrued points this evening. Across the round will determine the order, starting order that is, for the final race.
What's interesting is that Anton's just been able to sneak a little bit closer to the back of Shane Van Gisbergen. This is the rear bumper cam view from Shane's Red Bull Holden. And you get a genuine sense of the pace at this racetrack. Fast, open and flowing. Shane's been there. Anton's been there in his junior development years as well. So both of them have had success. Both of them understand this racetrack. Anton's been a race winner here on debut before he came back to Australia when he was competing overseas. A number of our drivers have been there, including Scott Pye. In fact, the international roll call of people that have done well at this racetrack is pretty cool, Matty. So Sir Jack Brabham, pole in 1960 and a win the Belgian Grand Prix in 1960. He was third in 1964. Jonesy, Alan Jones, had a pole en route to a World Championship as our race leader comes into the lane in 1980 for Alan Jones, and he was second in that race. Daniel Ricciardo was the winner in 2014, pole in 2010 for Mark Webber, and on the podium a couple of times in 2010 and 2011. So some heavyweight Australians have achieved big time at this location. So in come key runners. It's left Anton in the lead. He's going to try and make a gain out of the fresh air that's available to him. Chaz Mostert stayed out as well. And McLaughlin has followed Van Gisbergen in. And the transit through the lane is just a whisker over 17 or 18 seconds. Oh, sorry, 22 seconds plus the tyres was about 30-odd seconds sort of cumulative.
Right, so Shane Van Gisbergen and a host of others have pulled the trigger ahead of Anton De Pasquale, who has stayed out there. They've now rejoined Van Gisbergen, McLaughlin. That's Brock Feeney parked behind the Shell V Power Racer. Cam Waters behind them, and then Lando Norris. So still waiting for the top 2 on your leaderboard there. De Pasquale and Mostert to pit.
I think Lando dropped the spot to Cam Waters in that manoeuvre.
It's a net racer of Andre Heimgartner, position number 9. So he's behind Nick Percat. Remember, Nick was the first to enter pit lane, and consistency is absolutely the word for Andre Heimgartner, Crompo. And you mentioned top 10s. 14 races. He's had 11 top 10 finishes, but yet to get on the podium. He's 4th in the championship picture. And man, he's currently tracking Nick Percat, 13th with the best finish of 6th at Barcelona.
Now, Van Gisbergen, not surprisingly, has done the fastest lap. In fact, just as I say it, looking there, it's Cam Waters who's done a quicker lap now. He's done an 18.6. It's a great view under the back of Nick Percat's car. And running extremely wide and wild was Anton De Pasquale on the run into the bus stop. So that left-handed through Blanchimont, he got well and truly crossed up and out of shape. This is back to La Source, which for this event tonight is the last corner, and in he comes from the lead of the motor race. So he had a 5-odd second margin over Chaz Mostert. There is Anton.
And a 31-second margin over Shane Van Gisbergen.
Which is key, because that's roughly the sort of difference between the pit lane transit plus the tyres and the margin he had on the racetrack.
So this is Van Gisbergen coming down towards La Source.
Stood on the inside there a few years ago when Grosjean managed to turn a Formula 1 car into about 1.4 million separate pieces.
He's pretty good at that. Right, Anton, let's see what the rejoin is here. That's De Pasquale up on the right. Exiting pit lane, as Crompo mentioned, he's got to be mindful of that blend line. Up over Rouge comes Van Gisbergen, so De Pasquale has the lead of the race. On lap 6 out of 8, the fastest lap.
He's vulnerable because he has to cover down the inside, and Shane's got pace and a warmer tyre, and he's used it very wisely and closed down around the outside and gets the job done through the right-hander at Lacombe. Nice job, Shane Van Gisbergen, but this again, like it was for race 1 last week, I beg your pardon, is a question of the cream rising to the top. So this is going to be a terrific battle with only a couple of laps remaining, with these guys all the way to the flag.
Shane Van Gisbergen, third in the championship, 4 wins, 9 podiums, and now 4 poles. Anton De Pasquale, 6th in the championship. And Scott McLaughlin, of course, our championship leader behind them.
Yeah, so this is exactly what Anton's looking for at the moment, to smarten up his points tally. Uses a little bit more exit space on the run down the hill. So he's sitting coming into tonight's race, 6th position, 655 points, but the important number is he's 318 off the lead. He's got to start accumulating some consistency in the points now in the back end of this championship in the BP Supercars All-Stars E-Series. Shane Van Gisbergen has been mighty impressive of late, and is he going to be able to hold him off? Beg the question at the top of the show, what was going to happen in the battle with these guys? So Anton owns the greatest number of Armour All poles. He's got 5, Shane's got 3. Coming into this weekend, or this evening, I keep saying it's still a Wednesday, Neil, wake up. Shane Van Gisbergen's got 4 victories. He might add to that. He's also got a whole bunch of podiums as well. So Scotty McLaughlin's got 7, Shane's got 7, Anton's got 6 of them, but it's been the down results, the DNF results, that have been really tough for Anton. Chad and Jonathan are watching as Pertec pit reporters in Melbourne. Observations, gents?
Loving watching this battle between the two front runners, and how about the amount of track limits that they're both using running wide through Blanchimont, knowing that they can use up those 20 against mini penalties that you're allowed. Just have a quick watch here as Anton's sizing up a move at the bottom of Eau Rouge. Might try him at the end of Lacombe, which gives us a quick chance to update what happened to Lando Norris.
Yeah, a very slow pit stop time. Now, it can be randomised, and it can also be based on how well you park in your box, but he's gone as slow as you can possibly go for 4 tyres. And now this is interesting for your lead battle, because Gizzy's tyres are going to drop off this lap, so expect him to be vulnerable to ADP.
This is a heck of a battle brewing at the moment. We've got a little less than 2 laps remaining, and if anything, Anton now with a slightly younger tyre is starting to claw back the critical millimetres virtually. So it's Van Gisbergen over De Pasquale, 0.2 of a second officially, and it's a couple of seconds then back to McLaughlin. You can see glimpses of the Shell V-Power Racing Mustang in the background. He's got his hands full at the moment with Waters and with Norris right in his wheel tracks. So there's 2 key battles to keep an eye on here, and Anton's starting to get racy. Looks down the inside. That's him on the right-hand side of screen. Very gentle in his control input on this car. He's got this thing wide. He understands precisely what's got to be done in order to be able to achieve results. He's only 24 years of age. He's got 64 Virgin Australia Supercars starts. He was a Formula Ford champion in 2013. He was a Formula Renault champion in 2014. The other thing that's happening here at the moment, Matty, is the boys are starting to use up their incident points a little bit, meaning they're exploiting the track limits, and they can use them as credits. They've got 20 available in this race, so you spend them wisely. And right now, if you've got any credit up your sleeve, it's use every last available virtual millimetre.
At last count, Anton De Pasquale had 13 points next to his name, and Shane Van Gisbergen 12. There might be another one there. So De Pasquale now looking right, looking left.
Shane covered him, which means that it's a slower approach into the bus stop. So through Blanchimont, Shane didn't get quite the run that Anton did. It's right on him. So now it gets right under the rear wing once more for the run down to the right-hander at La Source. Back to first gear. The little village of Stavelot is just up the road, or Stavelot, depending on where you were educated. And I had the misfortune several years ago of seeing a Brad Jones racing car model in the window of a model racing car shop there. Can you believe my dismay?
Look at this. I reckon Andre Heimgartner's going to be dismayed about this, because Nick Percat has picked him off for position number 8. Lee Holdsworth wants to go along for the ride as well. Final lap of this one, the first of 3 races this evening in the BP Supercars All-Stars E-Series, and it's on. It's on between first and second. Van Gisbergen has De Pasquale pushing him to the limit.
And he's got to try and find a way to do it without getting involved in a tangle. And he knows, he's acutely aware, Anton De Pasquale, that he has to be able to do it and do it cleanly. Points are what he needs to accumulate at the moment. And Shane is a very switched on, clued up racer. He knows precisely where to place this car to make it awkward. 3 times he's been to this venue in GT racing. He's done the 24-hour race there. Remember, it's not only famous for Formula One at this location, but for all types of racing. And Shane's had some great success at this location. That long left-hander at Pouon. He thinks about getting down the inside. He was briefly locked up there. You can just hear it chirping in the background. Anton doing everything he can with half a lap remaining. So the best opportunity might be the braking run into the bus stop, where they will attack that portion of the circuit from 265 kilometres an hour. And then it's a question of how much throttle they can take. See, they're using and exploiting those track limits that I spoke about before. They're burning up their credits. There's money in the bank, let's use it. So he's tucked right in behind. De Pasquale's got a run going here in the Penrite Racer. How much throttle do they carry? How much tyre scrub do they get? Shane covers down the inside and he's got a 5-foot wide Holden Commodore and he's using it very wisely now. Anton wants to block past, but can he get it done? Yes, he does. He pulls together a perfect block pass, but it comes undone. It comes undone at the critical moment. And Shane Gizzy is spinning out the other side and survives it. McLaughlin's going to do another Bradbury here. He did it in the Indy 175 on the weekend. They are 3 wide coming out of La Source. Van Gisbergen's hanging on. The checkered flag is out and Van Gisbergen wins it after getting belted to death, and into the wall go Waters and McLaughlin. After the flag, I thought that McLaughlin was going to do what he did at Indy, and that was off the scale crazy.
No way. You said it, Crompo, you said it. And Anton De Pasquale has to make sure he doesn't get mixed up in a tangle here with Shane Van Gisbergen. That's exactly what happened. Scotty McLaughlin is dumbfounded. He's trying to work out what happened as well.
That was cool. That was cool. That was a very clued up move by Anton. So when Shane went to the inside, he's got to slow down more to be able to achieve it. But the challenge is that you've got to try and get those cars side by side through a chunk of racetrack where it's really one line and one lane at the best of time. And a gentleman who's been there and raced successfully is our driving standards advisor. And he loves it when I cross to him in the middle of these races and ask him the hard question. What do you reckon, Beardo?
It is going to be. We're just trying to find some more angles. But one of the cars actually dropped out, so I don't know whether we call that a net code or not. So we're just going to try to find some other angles. Post-race it, take a little bit of time on it and make sure we get it right.
It's a highly political answer. You should be in Canberra.
Right, so let's make everything provisional, Neil.
Everything is provisional.
Everything's provisional in the virtual world, especially after that. That was crazy. Absolutely crazy.
Look at this. So this is what I spoke about before. It's trying to get a couple of cars through on a racing line where it can't be achieved. Now, Anton got a long way down the inside. Shane gave him some space, but when they came out the other side, there was an overlap. It was only an eighth of a car, and right there was the critical touch. And then Anton rotates across the front of Shane, who miraculously was able to press on. The fact that he could still race to the flag was pretty impressive. Koala race highlights, Matty.
Yep, so Van Gisbergen and De Pasquale started this one on the front row, and as you saw, they would fight to the very end. Pretty good start from Lando Norris too. He was sort of mid-pack, at the back of the top 10 rather, and he managed to get up a couple of positions early on. There was some contact at the back there in the opening lap, but it didn't seem to rule anybody out. And Lando Norris was very, very quickly in attack mode. His first target was Cam Waters, and he got him. Lando provisionally would finish this race in 4th spot. Talk about using all the track limits. That's what Anton De Pasquale did, and he also used the compulsory pit stop to his advantage. Comes out ahead of Shane Van Gisbergen, but not for long. Van Gisbergen on warmer tyres, easy as you like, up towards Lecombe, and he got the race lead. Then it all comes down to this, side by side. Out he goes. Oh, Anton into the wall. And look at this. McLaughlin arrives and goes, hang on a second. Cam Waters says, wait a minute. I'll have a piece of that as well. Van Gisbergen gets across the line first, and then Scotty just decides to park them all into the fence. Wow.
Well, it got our heart rates up. It's certainly great Wednesday night entertainment. It is a beautiful racetrack. It's 7 kilometres of Grand Prix racing circuit. Fabulous to have supercars there. And big names like Lando Norris. These are provisional results. And Lando gets on the podium on debut in supercar racing. That's pretty impressive. Shane van Gisbergen, the provisional winner by a small margin over Cam Waters. And then Chaz Mostert in 4th place. And I think it's a bit of a lottery, Jess, as to how we kind of call the remainder of them. I think there's going to be a little bit of a deeper analysis of this. My phone's sliding up left, right and centre as Craig Baird and Nash Morris sit there and try and unravel data, pictures and information.
Drama and controversy to kick off our night at Spa. What could possibly happen from here? After the break, we'll see whether or not there are any post-race penalties from that thrilling finish between Anton De Pasquale and Shane van Gisbergen. Scott McLaughlin in the mix there too. It is time for a quick break as we reset for more racing on the other side. This is the perfect time to refuel thanks to Mac Delivery. Get all of your Macca's favourites delivered straight to your door, contact-free. We'll be back right after this.
Have you always wanted to be a supercars commentator? Well, now's your chance, thanks to Shaw, presented by Jans. Head to the Supercars Facebook page tomorrow and post a video of yourself commentating over the supplied vision on Facebook or Instagram with the hashtags Commentate the Stars and VASC for your chance to win. BP Super All-Star E-Series is proudly brought to you by Mrs. Max. Refuel with a Mrs. Max. Go.
When you need refueling fast, you can rely on Mrs. Max. Tasty, easy, speedy. If it's not a Mrs. Max, take it back.
Hi, my name's Bert, and I'm a big fan of the supercars.
Huge damage.
It's my job to make sure everything's clean. It's pretty easy to keep things clean while the drivers are working from home. Oh, Rick, you're getting crumbs everywhere. It's a lot easier to clean things up in the E-Series.
Push of a button, he's back in pit lane.
Still, not as easy as keeping your engine clean using BP Ultimate.
Black Duck seat covers are bred for adventure. We're a family-owned company making Aussie-made seat covers. Our range of high-quality materials provides strength, performance and comfort. Perfect for all those Aussies who work hard and play harder. Black Duck seat covers can handle everyday adventures. Put them to the test. Get yours today from one of our trusted resellers nationwide or visit blackduck.com.au for more information.
My passion for cars began when Nana and Pop bought their new Toyota Crown. It was Nana's, really. She loved that car. We went everywhere in it. My passion now is just the same, even though my cars are a little different. I've still got Nana's car, couldn't part with it. And I reckon if she was here today, she'd be insured with Shannon's too.
Call Shannon's on 13 46 46. Shannon's, insurance for motoring enthusiasts.
The BP Supercars All-Star E-Series is proudly brought to you by Mrs. Max. Refuel with a Mrs. Max. You can support your favourite team or driver during the BP Supercars All-Stars E-Series. Purchase your Supercars Championship or team merchandise today. Head to supercars.com/merch.
Great to have you with us here for round 5 of the BP Supercars All-Stars E-Series. Some breaking news for you. We can confirm that Shane van Gisbergen will cop a penalty for that contact that he had with Anton De Pasquale at the end of race 15, though it won't apply to this next race, race 16, given that it is a reverse grid and Shane van Gisbergen will be starting at the back of the grid anyway. So a penalty will be applied later in the evening, and we'll cross to our driving standards observer, Craig Baird, who can explain all of that in better detail a little later. But for now, let's cross to Anton De Pasquale, who was mixed up in the carnage at the end of that. Tell us, Anton, what happened from your point of view?
Yeah, that was a pretty cool race, I thought. Having a bit of fun. We tried something a bit different with the strategy, go for an overcut, which is a bit random, but everyone else was pitting, so we came in and worked our way. So we had a bit of a tyre overlap in the end, and then just thought I'd throw one around the outside, and it worked. And then, yeah, Shane just tagged the rear of me and put me in the fence, so day done.
So do you know what that means for the next race? Where will you be starting?
You know as well as me, I do not know.
Neither do I. Good. Glad we cleared that up.
Because I think I finished 5th across the line, but because I hit the fence, I get a lot of incident points. So no idea.
Right. Okay. So what 26, I believe, is where you'll start. So what's your strategy then for this one? How do you get to the front, make up the points?
Yeah, it's a bit weird because of the incident gives me the penalty, but the incident was because someone else caused the incident. It makes it a bit random. So I don't know. We'll just go have a bit of fun and let the powers be.
Yeah, well, the easiest way to fix it is just to get to the front and win the race. So I hope you can do that. Good luck. Have fun. We'll chat to you a little later. We'll jump into the Hino Hub now with Neil Crompton to get all the race considerations for race 16. Good luck unravelling that one, Crompo.
Yeah.
Thankfully, it's in the virtual world, not the real one.
Sparks flying off my real phone, not my virtual phone at the moment. So this one, the key points that you need to understand, reverse grid, and it's based on the finishing order, if we can unravel that from that last race. There is a compulsory stop, 75 points to win. The weather is as it was in the previous race, and they will stop somewhere between laps 1 and 4, depending on who's going where in terms of traffic and the interruption along the way. So as you heard Anton say before, you might get a benefit either from an undercut or, in his case, the overcut running the other way around there. So a bit of fun in that first one, some great racing. That stuff that was going on at the back end was really cool. We'll see what happens now when we invert the field, and we're still going to try and figure out a way to untangle what you saw in our first race. The good news is lots of supercar superstars and a Formula One superstar in there, some up-and-coming races as well, Matty, and a whole lot to celebrate. We're having a great time, some great races, big names, cool things. Maybe we need to drop our heart rates just a fraction.
It's good fun. I've got some results here.
The phone's starting to melt.
I've got some results here. I don't know what they mean.
No, I don't think any of us do, though. It's very easy to say that, Crompo, take the heart rate down, but isn't it amazing how the competition has really come out of this fun? Everybody wants to win, and we can certainly see that in their race faces. Let's check in now with Will Davo. He's on the line. Hey, how's your night travelling so far?
Oh, I'm a practice hero again, guys. I've been quick in the lead up, but I keep making a meal of it when it counts. So I was going okay, and then I used a bit too much curb at the top of Eau Rouge. I was trying to get the big run on Holdsy, and then I got that silly black flag slow down thing, and I didn't obey it in time, and then I got driven through the pit. So I'm looking good for this one.
How your pit crew tonight? Have you got anyone that sniffing around? We've been loving the cameo appearances they've been making.
No, all three fast asleep dreaming of, I don't know, the dog park and steak, I reckon. But we'll see if we can wake them up. If I do well this race, let's try and get them in.
Well, you're starting a little further up in this next one, so good luck, have fun.
I really don't want to be starting at the front in reverse grid, but we'll try and make the most of it.
You might not love it, but we do. What a spectacle that is. Let's take a look at our Truck Assist starting grid. Matty, what could possibly go wrong?
Let's try and unravel this and see who finished where. So James Courtney obviously finished last in that race. We didn't get to see him. He'll have Brock Feeney in the front row against him. So Mark Winterbottom and David Reynolds occupy row 2. The Brute Max Defence racer of Todd Hazelwood has Jack Doohan alongside him. There's Will Davison and the SCT Logistics car of Jack Smith. Chris Pither, car 22 for Team Sydney, has Jamie Whincup, Red Bull Holden racer, in position number 10. Scotty Pye For DeWalt Racing 11 has Gary Jacobson. There's Jaden Ojeda in 13 and Zane Goddard alongside him as well. Zane Goddard actually encouraged Jack Doohan to get into kart racing, and also Jack managed to get his first go-kart from a bloke called Michael Schumacher. It's good to have friends in higher places. Jake Kostecki, the NTI racer, position 19. Fabian Coulthard alongside him for Shell V-Power. There's Lee Holdsworth, Truck Assist Racing with Dunlop Super Dealers Nick Percat. Position 23, the Ned racer of Andre Heimgartner. Bryce Forward was in the mix a lot there. Chaz Mostert looking good again tonight. Anton De Pasquale has a big job to do from position 26. Lando Norris, Mobile One Arrow Racing with Cam Waters. They've already been battling this evening. They'll be beside each other. And Scott McLaughlin, Shane Van Gisbergen make up the rear of the grid.
And having been beamed into a virtual pole, James Courtney's going to be at the head of the field, and this is going to be fun because I asked him earlier today, is he any good at it? And he goes, no, I'm no good at this at all. I've never done any of it, but I have done lots of racing at Spa. I think I won the European Formula 4 Championship there. So he's got form at the racetrack, but he doesn't have E-Series form, and that's him in the Boost Mobile Holden Commodore on the front row of the grid. He's got Brock Feeney alongside him, and young Brock is driving from the Gold Coast in the Tickford car. You've got Mark Winterbottom tucked further in behind him, and then David Reynolds, Todd Hazelwood, Jack Doohan, Will Davison we spoke to, Jack Smith, Chris Pither and Jamie Whincup, a race winner last week for Red Bull. It's a downhill start and it's easy to mess it up if you release that line locker and jump away too quickly, and there's chaos at the back already.
Big damage.
Yeah, Courtney's getting swamped by Feeney, and he's managed to lose the lead, I think. Looking at every direction at the moment. No, James has actually reclaimed some meterage here and is back on top. So Courtney looked like he just bobbled a bit at the start. Winterbottom's going down the inside, the dirty line on the run to the right-hander at Lake Holm. At the end of the Kemmel Straight, lap 1, James has already relinquished his pole. He's been turned around. So Hazelwood has turned him and James bumps her into the fence.
I'll be interested to see who was caught up in the commotion off the start towards the back end of the grid, because remember, that's where the big names are. More spins as Scott McLaughlin goes off into the sand trap. This is only lap 1 of our second race this evening. These reverse gridders really mix things up. Mark Winterbottom has the race lead from Brock Feeney. Todd Hazelwood's up there in third. Oh, this looks dangerous. Chaz Mostert arrived on the scene there and had to get out of the way quickly.
Yeah, so Whincup was the one that was making the awkward rejoin there, so he's either run wide or been pushed wide, and he was trying to scramble back on. There's also an image here in car number 33 of Jack Doohan in the Red Bull car. Interesting if he does get to Formula 1, the battle that he'll have with Max over who gets to use number 33. He's had a tremendous junior career already and great expectations for his international motor racing career. So he's having a nice battle at the moment, trying to thread his way through. He's never driven a sedan before. That's him, bottom right-hand corner of screen.
And that was Jake Kostecki sliding through to get position 9 off Jack, 17 years of age. Driving up there on the Gold Coast. So Brock Feeney has now taken the lead from Mark Winterbottom. Hazelwood in third, although Todd may well have pitted, or it's Frosty who's pitted. Something's gone on up the front here, but there's plenty of commotion here as well. Chris Pither putting big pressure on Zane Goddard, who gets tagged along the way from Scotty Pye. This is not done with yet. There's damage to 3 or 4 cars in this mix alone.
Yeah, there's madness going on in that mid-pack. And anytime you've got a cluster of cars together like this, sum equals danger. So Gary Jacobson in the foreground, Scott Pye, who's raced at this location, through La Source, people taking creative lines on the exit of La Source. Jake Kostecki out there on someone actually at the bottom of frame just fired hard left, and it looked like they met the wall. It's Chris Pither in the Coke car, and I think Lando Norris was the other car there in the Mobile One Arrows entry. And more trouble here, and it's Lando again, and he's fired Pither awkwardly into the wall and has actually got himself jammed at 90 degrees to the pit lane entry.
And everyone else.
It's a tad awkward for Fabian Coulthard to get into the pit lane. He drives across the bonnet.
So Lando Norris just shut the door on pit lane. He used his Mobile One Arrows Commodore to do it. Wow.
I've been encouraged. This wasn't an original line. Somebody pinched this once upon a time. The track is jammed! The track is jammed, and so's my brain.
BP Ultimate Replay. Here it goes. So Lando Norris comes in and just whacks Chris Pither out of the way. The problem with that is he's now horizontal to the entry of pit lane. Play of the day from Bryce Forward to get through. Nobody else can.
What about...
Squeeze, you'll get in there. Yeah, I'll get in there.
I think it was Fabian. What about him driving across the bonnet? You know what, it's still, even though it's virtual, it still makes me sweat up because I can't help but think if that was something like the real world, that'd be fearful. So Lando's enjoying himself. He was in a wild race last weekend, by the way. They had a 175-mile race at Indianapolis, and he and Simon Pagenaud ended up in an argument over real estate. And for those that didn't see it, Scott McLaughlin, who had settled mentally for third place with a few metres to run, actually ended up winning the race. Drank the milk, did the full celebration, and was the right guy in the right place at the right time. Now, Brock Feeney is our leader. From Mark Winterbottom, Gary Jacobson, Scott Pye, Zane Goddard. That's the top 5. First driver in the field at the moment stopped is actually Will Davison. There is Mark Winterbottom. Bathurst winner, Supercars Series champion, driving the Irwin Tools entry for Charlie Schwerkolt. We're watching Jamie Whincup, and he's on the attack here with Anton De Pasquale. He's got serious gravel rash down the left-hand side of the Penrite car. Can't get over that image of everybody trying to claw into the pit lane and Lando at 90 degrees to the field. They're at La Source, and roughly half the field has taken its compulsory stop, and into the lane comes Anton, and Cam Waters follows him. Bunnings Trade Power Pass. What have we got in store here? So this looks like Anton getting racy down the inside of Jamie, who locked the rear brakes on the run into the bus stop and relinquishes the position. Alex Davison tucked in behind Jamie Whincup as they make their run down the Formula 1 pit straight. So great time to decide in your career that you'd be a pit reporter, because there's plenty of action at the pits, Chad.
Yeah, we've just emerged from our pit bunker to hopefully get out of the way of Lando's backwards flying Commodore. This is a really important rejoin for a number of the heavy hitters that are making their way out of the pit lane right now. Chaz Mostert and Will Davison are the first on the road out of the drivers who have pitted. We went back and scrolled through the tape back to the very beginning of the race and found out exactly where that start line incident started.
Yeah, we looked at the cockpit cam as you're watching now, and it was Jaden Ojeda who was in neutral for the start, revved the engine and realised, oh no, I've got to put it into first gear, and that caused complete chaos on the inside. The spotters going mad on Twitch too.
Yeah, I was just going to say the spotters in particular did a really good job to help some of the bigger names like Anton De Pasquale. Remember, he's working with Brody Kostecki to help him avoid the lap 1 drama, which also happened at the top at Stavelot as well. And he actually watches from home, Brody Kostecki, with a much wider view of Anton's car from high above, so he can see the crashes happening up the road, and then just like a NASCAR spotter, tell Anton go left or right to try and avoid those crashes.
Thanks for the update, boys. Pertec pit reporters Chad Nailon and Jonathan Simon. We're watching Jack Doohan here on screen, and he's sitting in 9th position at the moment. He's got Rick Kelly behind him in the Castrol Racing entry. He spent a bit of time earlier in the day retiling his bar in preparation for tonight's race. Sounds like a fine idea to me.
Was that virtual, or did he do it for real?
I think he actually did it. Yeah, so Brock Feeney's our leader at the moment. He's got a 2-second margin over Mark Winterbottom from Gary Jacobson in 3rd position, and then Scott Pye, Zane Goddard, Jake Kostecki, Jamie Whincup. The names I'm rattling off, including Alex Davison, Jack Doohan and Rick Kelly, they've not yet stopped. And in behind them, David Reynolds and Will Davison is the first in the queue that's actually taken his stop. And Brock Feeney and Mark Winterbottom have now actually come in. Paulie Jones, Cool Drive entry, car number 3, Brad Jones Racing. He was trying to give his dad encouragement last night, who was driving around Mount Panorama, somewhat poorly. He's having terrible trouble trying to get past the dipper, which is 80k's second gear, it's not that hard. But anyway.
You're still scarred from seeing one of his old cars around here.
Yeah, this is a cool shot. At the underbody cam, remember that Petters and Supershock combined resources earlier in the year in the real Virgin Australia Supercars Championship to become the control damper supplier for the series. And we've seen that shot in reality in our coverage of the Supercars, and it's thoroughly enjoyable. This, in general terms, is a pretty smooth circuit. It's got a lot of longitudinal and lateral loading around here, and in a Formula 1 car or any open wheel car generates massive downforce around here, particularly on the run down this hill to Eau Rouge. where the best cars, the good drivers on light fuel and good tyres will get through there flat, and it is a visual treat. So Zane Goddard's our leader at the moment for Matt Stone Racing. They've got their own competition going, by the way, for iRacing, and iRacing are presenting this great series tonight over David Reynolds, who's still coming to terms with the whole concept of e-racing. It's a real challenge in its own right. And then it's Will Davison, Brock Feeney. Brock's a little champion in his own right, and I'm sure that we're going to see a lot more from him in his Dunlop Super 2 career as he makes his ascendancy. There he is, bottom right-hand corner of screen. His dad, Paul, known for many years and was a very successful superbike racer. And this little battle here looks pretty interesting at the moment. Winterbottom, Scott Van Gisbergen right behind him. This is 7th and 8th, with Scott Pye tucked in here, and behind him is Anton De Pasquale. So these guys at the back end of the top 10. So we've only got a couple of cars yet to stop here, Matt, and they include Zane Goddard and David Reynolds.
And then Will Davison, first of that queue to have pitted. He's got Brock Feeney behind him, but this looks like it could unravel pretty quickly if they keep going the way they're going. So Winterbottom trying to hold off Van Gisbergen, pushes it out on the right-hand side. Behind them, Scotty Pye and Anton De Pasquale. Oh, look at the move from Scott Pye around the left-hand side of Mark Winterbottom. Gets the inside running on exit and gets the spot.
Well, that's the move that Anton and Shane were negotiating in that previous race. And Mark Winterbottom down the inside in a diminishing gap on Scott Pye, but he actually gets it done. I think he managed to pluck his right front mudguard off in the process. That is Scott Pye. But at least he put a fairly decent scar down there. And then they make their run down the hill before negotiating Eau Rouge, Radion, and then out the other side to the Kemmel Straight. David Reynolds is now our race leader. It's Brock Feeney, left-hand side of screen. Will Davison on the outside of him. Mustang to Mustang in the braking area.
So that position has changed since we last checked in. So Brock gets ahead of Will. So David Reynolds, lap 5 out of 8. The only one in the field yet to pit. Scott McLaughlin has gone through pit lane twice. He's down in 25th. Our other championship leaders at the moment, Shane Van Gisbergen in position number 6. Cam Waters, position 9.
Just a little over 3 laps remaining in this second race. BP Ultimate Replay, let's have a look. I think there's a bit of action about to unfold here. So car number 344 makes big contact with car number 18. Oh, and on it goes. Shane's caught up in it. So Jake Kostecki on Mark Winterbottom. Shane Van Gisbergen is an unwitting player in all that. And car number 34 also mixed up in it is Zane Goddard. So quite a few people turning their cars into bits and pieces awkwardly.
Just checking out Mark Winterbottom here.
And in fact, I'm just going to clean that up. That was Jamie in the background. It wasn't Shane.
All sorts of trouble for Mark Winterbottom. A couple of things to remember here, that the accrued points for the round so far will determine our grid for the next race. And the overall round winner in points, as it's been for the last few rounds, will receive $1,000 to give to their donated charity. That $1,000 thanks to Armour All. So we'll keep you posted on who's doing what points-wise overall. But at the moment, David Reynolds has the race lead. He's still yet to pit. So that means that Brock Feeney, wild card for this event, Super 2 racer, will be our effective race leader. Will Davison, and you're riding with Gary Jacobson right now.
So people that are battling for the championship, where are they now? It's like a television show. So David Reynolds is yet to pit. Shane Van Gisbergen would therefore move up into 5th place once Davey does pit. Anton De Pasquale is behind him in 7th. They're effectively somewhere in the hunt for this championship. And then looking further afield, Scott McLaughlin, who came into the round as our championship leader, is down in 24th place. Chad, wild reverse grid race as we expected.
Yeah, and you just took the words out of my mouth really as well. I was just about to highlight the fact that Scott McLaughlin is a long way off the pace and is about to really give up some points to Shane Van Gisbergen and potentially Cam Waters as well. Now, the battle that you're watching right now, this is for what is going to be the race win. And how about this for Brock Feeney, 17 years of age, And here he is potentially about to take one of the biggest wins of his career, albeit virtually. So, Jonathan, this is quite big. And Gary Jacobson is a man who's moving very quickly, but he cannot get around that Mustang.
Yeah, it's very tough to pass here. And for Will Davison, if I'm not mistaken, this might be his first win, real or virtual, since Bathurst 2016.
Yeah, but it's going to be a tough one for him because he pitted so early. His tyres are shot, and he is out on his feet right now. So Brock Feeney with a huge chance to try and skip away with this race win, as long as Will Davison can hold that pack up a little bit longer.
And that'll get him jumping in his camp. Remember, he's only 17 years of age, Brock Feeney. What a story he's been. A couple of successful years in karting. He did a season in Toyota 86 Racing Series. He had a couple of wins. One of those was at Tailem Bend in South Australia, another at Sandown. 2019 Kumho Series champion, effectively Super 3. And then he started with Tickford this year. We had one round of that Dunlop Super 2 Series in Adelaide. He's 8th in the series. He had a 10th, a 7th and another 7th in the first 3 races. So he's already making a name for himself, but he's going to make a bigger name for himself in the Boost Mobile Ford Mustang this evening if he keeps this sort of performance up. Wow, Wilbur, where are you going?
He's going back onto the track, hopefully BP Ultimate Replay. So Jack Doohan on the inside here, gets turned around a little bit, but holds on. Good effort, and then Bryce forward. Doesn't get to hold on, he's gone. Damage to Jack as well. It's all a bit messy. A bit ugly at the end. So Brock Feeney also, Crompo, could get a slice of virtual history here. We haven't had a wild card race winner so far this season. He's won a 5 this evening.
And he's got a margin of just under 1 second, and he's got a little under 2 laps to be able to hang on to this potential win and 75 points. Now, a few of these guys are tearing up their incident points at the moment. They did have 30 in credit coming into this race. Quite a few have spent 20 or more. Brock Feeney's not one of them, but he's close. He's got 19 burns so far, but he's holding on nicely. He's losing a little bit of margin to Will Davison, and Will's had an up and down run so far in car number 23. And Chaz Exotic on screen here in car number 25. He's sitting in 4th position at the moment.
Minus
a bit tidier this week, doesn't he?
It's gone aero. So lap 7 out of 8. Can Feeney hold on? What has Will Davison got? Gary Jacobson's been swatting all over them, but just can't get close enough to put a move on, and Chaz Mostert is pushing super hard. Shane Van Gisbergen, he will get a penalty for what happened at the end of our last race. It'll be post-round, so we'll have to tidy that one up.
That's going to be a long night's work, that one. I'll be well and truly asleep by then. So, Brock Feeney, 1.4 laps remaining in this one. He's got 3/4 of a second over Will Davison at the moment. They're the margins, you can clearly see them. Gary Jacobson's on for a podium here, the Matt Stone Racing as well. And that'd be a fabulous result if he can do that. Gary had ankle surgery earlier in the year, and his yellow cover racing Holden Commodore ideally positioned to grab some decent points in this reverse grid race. Remember, he was a 2016 Dunlop Super 2 champion. They're starting to actually close up in this next group of cars, aren't they? So Davison, Jacobson, Chaz Mostert had the race face on, Van Gisbergen behind him, and Anton De Pasquale. Even in virtual racing, it proves that track position is still king, isn't it? So we're getting very close now to winding this one up. And Feeney has still got 3/4 of a second. In fact, it's just opened up a tiny margin, if anything, out of La Source.
Yeah, about a 10th out of that. So 7 kilometres to go. Brock Feeney looking for a nice clean lap to finish this one off and claim his first race win in his first outing in the BP Supercars All-Stars E-Series. Up Perouge they go. Along the back, Kemmel straight. Davison, half a second away, so he's made up just a little bit on approach up here to Lecombe. Right, left and right again.
So it's up here at Malmedy where they then begin what becomes a very lengthy downhill run. Down to this right-hander at Rivage. Patience is the requirement here, in reality and virtually. And look at how this is tightening up. This is going to be another scorcher to the flag. So Feeney, Davison, Jacobson, 1, 2 and 3. Lurking in behind is Mostert, Van Gisbergen and De Pasquale. and they have all got their race faces on at the moment, and the next portion of the lap is a challenge. This long left-hander through turn 10 punishes the tyres. It's a challenge for balance. You've got to be very patient with steering and throttle. We're looking at Gary Jacobson's car from the rear bumper of Will Davison's Ford Mustang for Milwaukee Racing. Oh, and Brock just glides it in on the rear brake into that right-hander. I think it cost him a tiny little bit of time. He's under pressure at the moment. Is he going to be able to hang on? We've only got around about a third of a lap remaining. So Feeney, Davison and Jacobson. So they're sizing up now for the last portion of this lap. It will be critical to be able to carry speed through Blanchimont and then to be able to get the thing stopped when they get down to the bus stop cleanly without locking up and making a mistake. He's almost there. Down the inside, though, comes Mostert on Jacobson. The challenge for third is on as well. Battle for the lead is on here too. So 27 points now. Brock Feeney has accumulated more points in the recent past, using every little bit of those track limits. Makes his way down to the hairpin. He's trying to cover. Now the run downhill. He might hang on here, and if he does it, this is a big victory for Brock Feeney, and he has done it. 75 points for the young guy. Brock Feeney, a wild card, picks up a victory in the BP Supercars All-Stars E-Series. He's a rock star. And Will Davison in second. I think Gary Jacobson hangs on for third. Chaz Mostert had a big crack into the bus stop and wasn't able to get there over Shane van Gisbergen. Well done, young Brock. Nice work.
Good celebration too. He had the fist pump going. He loved it. Now he's doing some circle work to celebrate this victory. So the Super 2 series, of course, on pause at the moment as part of the Virgin Australia Supercars Championship. He got off to a good start with 3 top 10s down in Adelaide. And he's now here in the virtual main game, and he can say, I'm a race winner in the BP Supercars All-Stars E-Series. Will Davison pushed him all the way to the very end. Gary Jacobson on the podium, Chaz Mostert in fourth. Great performance from Shane van Gisbergen and Anton De Pasquale to weave their way through the field. Jaden Ojeda finished 14th, Jack Doohan in 16th. Lando Norris just couldn't push on in that one, 19th, and had a bit of drama along the way. And a points bleed for our championship leader, Scotty McLaughlin, in 21st position. So accrued points now will make up the grid for our next race, our Koala race highlights. James Courtney just couldn't wait, could he, Crombo? He couldn't wait to get going.
No, he's a bit eager.
Let me at him.
He's been parked in recent months, so there's a fair bit of pent-up energy there. He may have jumped the gun ever so slightly and made him vulnerable through Eau Rouge. And then there was all the normal chaos that happens in a congested pack back in the order, but it claimed Scott McLaughlin. Weird moments on pit lane entry, and that one was the weirdest. So Lando Norris gets into the side of Chris Pither, and Bryce Fullwood was able to squeak by into the pit lane. But then Macaulay Jones arrived at Mach 5, and he had a little bit too much pace on, which started a bit more congestion as Fabian Coulthard climbed over the bonnet of Lando Norris. This is a wild moment through the bus stop as well. People scrambling everywhere. Mark Winterbottom got tangled, Jake Kostecki, Zane Goddard, and it was Jamie Whincup in the Red Bull car that ended up pointing in the wrong direction. So bonnets, boot lids, rear wings, rear wing end plates, virtual bits and pieces everywhere. That was wild as well. Jack Doohan getting tangled with Bryce Fullwood. Here's the replay from the other angle, and it tips Bryce Turtle. Up he goes, and Jack pressed on. I think he was minus the boot lid and the rear wing on that car, but all the kerfuffle aside, it was a nice virtual win for Brock Feeney, who grabbed 75 points. We're going to be speaking a lot more about that young guy in his real motor racing career, Jess.
Can't wait for that to restart, no doubt about it. But let's check in now with our race 16 winner. Brock Feeney joins us on the line. A wild card on debut, and you get the chocolates in the E-Series tonight. You look pretty pleased with yourself as you cross the line.
Yeah, no, it was great. The first race didn't go to plan. I went to join the grid and my iRacing crashed, so that wasn't very good, but it meant I got to start up the front in the reverse grid. Not exactly the race you want to win, but you definitely take them when you get these opportunities. So it was great racing with Will, and yeah, really excited.
So what can we expect to see from you in the last one tonight? A little longer, 14 laps.
Yeah, exactly. I don't really know where I'll be starting because I finished second last in that first one, but I don't know, we're going to have some good fun. We'll try and stay out of those crashes and see where we end up. But it is a longer race. Pit stops will come in a bit more handy in this one, so we'll wait and see.
Well done, Brock. We can't wait to see what you've got for us in the next one. Have fun. All right, time for a quick break. Coming up, the third and final race tonight at Spa. You're watching round 5 of the BP Supercars All-Stars E-Series.
Congratulations to this week's Local Legends winner. You could also win weekly prizes across the Supercars All-Stars E-Series, including your own Local Legends simulator valued at over $10,000. To enter, share a photo holding a Local Legends pack on your Instagram or the Local Legends Facebook page with the hashtag #WinWithLocalLegends to go into the draw to win. The BP Supercars All-Star E-Series is proudly brought to you by Pioneer DJ, proudly distributed by Jans.
Hi, my name's Bert, and I'm a big fan of the supercars.
Huge damage.
It's my job to make sure everything's clean. It's pretty easy to keep things clean while the drivers are working from home. Oh, Rick, you're getting crumbs everywhere. It's a lot easier to clean things up in the E-Series.
Push of a button, he's back in pit lane.
Still, not as easy as keeping your engine clean using BP Ultimate.
Years ago, BSA built more bikes than anyone in the world. Beautiful, handcrafted, proper works of art. Real enthusiasts understand. And Shannon's, of course. Young Mick's passion's a bit high-tech for me, but deep down, it's the same. And Shannon's understand that as well. Which is why Shannon's insure our bikes, cars, and now, even our home.
Call Shannon's on 13 46 46. Shannon's, insurance for motoring enthusiasts.
Go.
When you need refueling fast, you can rely on Mrs. Max. Tasty, easy, speedy. If it's not a Mrs. Max, take it back.
Hi, my name's Bert, and I'm a big fan of the supercars.
Huge damage.
It's my job to make sure everything's clean. It's pretty easy to keep things clean while the drivers are working from home. Oh, Rick, you're getting crumbs everywhere. It's a lot easier to clean things up in the E-Series.
Push of a button, he's back in pit lane.
Still, not as easy as keeping your engine clean using BP Ultimate.
The BP Supercars All-Star E-Series is proudly brought to you by Pioneer DJ, proudly distributed by Jans.
Welcome back to our live coverage of the BP Supercars All-Stars E-Series. We are getting set for tonight's final race at the famous and prestigious Spa. We've been having so much fun. Will Davison finished on the podium in race 16. It is celebration cuddles all round in the Davison household with Delilah. She is his mascot, there's no doubt about it, for this E-Series championship. Well, Gary Jacobson finished on the podium in that last race. Let's cross to him now. Hey, Gary, well done. A podium finish, you must be wrapped with that.
Yeah, I'm stoked. It's only a casual 10 positions better than I've ever finished in the real car. So I'm loving this iRacing now. Great.
Oh, we're all laughing. We're in stitches. In all seriousness, though, I mean, it's been a really tough time, and we're obviously waiting to hear when the restart date will be for Supercars. We've been missing heading to the track. Is this in some way filled the void, keeping you busy and keeping you connected, I guess, with the fans and with all of the other drivers in the championship as well?
Yeah, look, Jess, this could have been a wheelbarrow race, mate. This has filled the void for me. I'm a competitive guy, and I just need something to do, keep me in a routine. I'm loving this iRacing. I would have gone absolutely crazy if I didn't have iRacing at the moment.
I think everyone watching this series would absolutely agree with you. Great job. Look, good luck in the next one as we head into the Hino Hub with Neil to get all of the big numbers that matter in this one. A longer race.
A longer race. We're going to add 6 laps for this journey and make it 14 in total. It's going to have a couple of compulsory stops. 150 points to win this one. The weather's the same as it was for the first couple of races and all of them in the series thus far. And you can see from the prediction that we will be stopping probably for the first stop somewhere between 2 and 5 and the second stop between 8 and 10. So if what we've seen in those first couple of races is any guide, this promises to be pretty exciting. Now, it will be important to be able to very carefully pick your moment to take your compulsory stops, Matty, because if you're in the right place at the right time and you get a fresh air advantage, it's just like it is in the real game. You will actually genuinely make ground on everybody. So those people that are playing an engineering and spotting role in the background really genuinely contribute.
And we actually don't know right now what the starting grid's going to be because the points are being accumulated as we speak. So we don't really know who's going to be up the front, who's going to be up down the back. What we do know, especially, Scotty McLaughlin's had an off night. You know, the championship leader just hasn't managed to get the points that he needs. So we need to see where he's going to pop out of this.
He's had some on mornings and some on evenings, so to have an off night's not such a bad thing, probably.
He's been living in his sim seat, that's for sure. He's been racing in almost every E-Series championship there is in the world right now. He's been a busy boy.
I spoke to him earlier in the day. You know, he's dropped even more weight. He just keeps on melting weight off at the moment. Well, he's just not eating, I suppose, and maybe he just sits in that sim and there's nothing else.
Crumbo, he's sweating in his race suit, driving in every category right around the world. One guy we're really happy to have with us tonight in our E-Series is James Courtney. He's joined in as a wild card and he's on the line. AJC, welcome back to Supercars, even if it is only virtually.
Yeah, it's great to be back, guys. I've made a meal of it. Jeez, I think I needed to put a few more hours in than I have. And I'm trying to do pit stops and I've got keyboards on my lap and dogs coming in and licking my face. It's all happening here. I've got a girlfriend to come and try and call strategy, but I think she's watching Desperate Housewives or something. So
she's watching Desperate Drivers. That's what she's doing at the moment, James. You had Damien White hogging the seat for about 3 hours. You said to me earlier yesterday or today?
Yeah, that's it, mate. He said, can I come over and have a look? And then we ended up doing like 3.5 hours stint. And I'm like, mate, I've got to do some testing in this thing. It's so foreign for me. I'm one of those guys that goes everything off fear.
So have you done any of this sim racing at all? Have you got any experience or are you a genuine start-from-scratch rookie here?
Mate, the last game I played was Alex Kidd on the Nintendo when I was about Cadell's age, my son. So, and I kind of figured I'm nearly double the age of some of these guys that I'm racing against. So it's pretty scary. And I was thinking about that as they were going past me at 1,000,000 miles an hour in the race. But anyway, it's weird. I'm having fun. It's been crazy. And it's great that we're quite unique in our sport, that we can give our fan base something to cheer for and look at. And I'm having a great time.
Well, it's good to have you back for tonight. Hopefully we're going to see you feature through the next 5 weeks of this E-Series. Better luck in the next one because it has been a bit tough for JC, hasn't it? And when it all shakes out, obviously we had that big news at the beginning of the year. He did the first round in Adelaide, then parted ways with Team Sydney. There is talk that he may be coming back full-time to Supercars later this year. He may not miss any racing this year. Can you believe it?
Yeah, just right place, right time, or wrong place, wrong time, or whatever the correct description of that is. But yeah, he might get away with it, I think, is what you're suggesting.
Must be weird for him, though, here too. I mean, you mentioned the form guide that he's got at Spa. He's been there, he's won there, he knows the track probably better than most people out there, and yet he's in this totally foreign racing environment. So he's got a track that he knows, and he's got equipment that he does not know.
And it's hard. I mean, it genuinely is hard. It's not an easy thing to do. I mean, we're having a bit of fun calling it and watching it, and we're amused by certain things, but you actually get in there and try and do it. There is a celebrity race in a couple of weeks, so I'm starting to
You're
starting
in it,
some
Neil
driver
Crompton.
experience. The problem is, I think a Commodore 64 is a bit old as a computer, so I might have to up-spec a little bit.
It's all fun and games in the
yeah,
beginning, isn't it? Until
right.
you're in the driver's seat yourself.
It's going to get very serious
Yep.
very soon.
That'll be fun. We have been enjoying it. It's been a lot of fun to have Lando Norris on board with us this evening. Hey, Lando, how's your night going so far? Are you at least having some fun?
I'm having a lot of fun. I mean, race one was pretty good. It was tough. Lost a bit out in the pit stops, and that kind of, ruined my chances. Still got a podium, which I was happy with. But, race two, not so good. I had a really good first lap. And, I don't know, there was some carnage. Well, pretty much throughout the whole race, pretty much. But, I mean, it's good fun. It's good racing these guys that I've never raced before. It's just better not to crash sometimes.
Just talk us through the roadblock into pit lane. That was, I don't know how you managed to do that, but it was quite spectacular to watch.
Thanks. That was my racing driver decision. My instincts kicked in. I had to either drive a whole lap with a completely broken car, or drive the wrong way for just a few meters and try and get back into the pit lane. So I think I saved more time by doing that. But I don't know. It was carnage. I got taken out by a guy trying to go into the pit lane when I was on his right side, which confused me a little bit. But I mean, I don't know. I just need to try and avoid all the carnage in this next race and just try and end on a high.
Yeah, well, there is always plenty of carnage when it comes to Supercars e-racing. Good luck in this next one. We aren't too far away from getting on the grid for it. Thanks, Lando. Well, let's take a look at how they'll line up, and good luck with this, Matty.
Well, we'll see what happened, huh? So this is accrued points from the first two races tonight to determine this grid. So Shane van Gisbergen will start from the Armour All pole with Chaz Mostert next to him. Cam Waters has been rock solid this evening. He's got Anton De Pasquale. So Gary Jacobson, a good evening. Scotty McLaughlin, so sixth. That's kind of surprising. I thought he may be a little bit further back, but he's always there or thereabouts. Will Davison and Andre Heimgartner. Lando Norris, so he'll get away from position number 9 with our last start race winner, Brock Feeney. The NTI racer, Jake Kostecki and Nick Percat fill up positions 11 and 12. 13 and 14 go to Lee Holdsworth and Scotty Pye. Alex Davison, the local legends entry with Fabian Coulthard from Shell V-Power Racing. Jack LeBrock, Super Cheap Auto. Bryce Forward down in 18th for the Middies racer. Jaden Ojeda, another one of the wild cards here, will start this final race from 19. The Cool Drive entry of Macca Jones next to him. Then it's the Castrol Mustang of Rick Kelly and Zane Goddard. Jack Doohan from down towards the rear of the grid. Car 33, the Red Bull racer against David Reynolds. Chris Pither, Team Sydney Coca-Cola entry with Jamie Whincup alongside him. There's Jack Smith and Todd Hazelwood, positions 27 and 28. 29 and 30 go to Mark Winterbottom and James Courtney, two tireless campaigners in the Virgin Australia Supercars Championship, trying to get a handle on this BP Supercars All-Stars E-Series. So one more race to go. That was how they accrued the points to get to the starting grid, which also means that Shane van Gisbergen is leading the overall round tally for our $1,000 to go to charity, thanks to Armour All.
30 drivers, and our quick operators are at or near the front of this field, and off the Armour All pole it'll be Shane van Gisbergen and Chaz Mostert alongside him, and looking forward to it. That's Jack Smith, SCT Logistics car for Brad Jones Racing. Then Chaz Mostert, car number 25 for Mobile One and Appliances Online. Jack Doohan, Red Bull Racing, and he's in car number 33 and he's driving a ZB Old Commodore 4 this evening. Jamie Whincup, and we saw Jamie in strife there a few moments ago, winner last week, Red Bull Holden Racing Team, car number 88. And he's getting his race face on, coming into position, getting ready. Interesting that Lando will start out at position number 9. I reckon the Formula One race director, Michael Massey, would have had a very small but significant heart attack when he saw him going the wrong way up the track to get back into the pit lane. Might talk to him about that. So, Van Gisbergen off the pole. Nick Percat for the Dunlop Super Dealers and Brad Jones Racing, Nelson side saddle. Rick Kelly, Castrol Racing, Ford Mustang. Kramer keeping a watchful eye. Or is it Rick? It's a downhill start. They've got the line lockers selected on the steering wheel. Mark Winterbottom for Irwin Racing. And they've got to negotiate this high-speed run through Eau Rouge, and the complexity goes up. 14 laps, 2 compulsory stops, Finding clean air is going to be critical. Partly cloudy skies, 18 degrees. Supercars racing at the famous Spa circuit. 7 kilometres of glorious racetrack, and Shane Van Gisbergen gets a perfect start in the Holden. Converts to the road nicely, not too much wheel spin, and sets off with fresh air around him. Chaz Mostert in behind, and we've got a couple running very wide. One of them was Rick Kelly at the back of the field.
That was wild too for Scott McLaughlin, and I think Will Davison as well up to Eau Rouge. They managed to hold on to it. A great start from Van Gisbergen, but Mostert climbs over the back of him. De Pasquale's there as well. Heimgartner racing, Ned racing of Andre Heimgartner gets spun out. He was caught out wide and pushed out wide.
I think he was tagged by Will Davison, not 100% sure, but I'm pretty certain that the other car involved in that was the Milwaukee Racing entry of Will Davison. There might be more to the story as well, so we'll see whether we can grab that on a replay. Looking at Lando Norris, car 04 for Mobil 1 Arrow Racing. Van Gisbergen's the leader from Mostert. And Lando's down the order now relative to his start position. He's down in 21st position, so he must have got tangled up in the congestion given that he started from 9th position when you did the truck assist starting grid.
So Van Gisbergen got a half a second lead from Chaz Mostert. Try and get some groove into this now. Try and get through that first lap craziness. This is a longer one, a 14 lapper, 2 compulsory pit stops. They will have to take fuel. So De Pasquale third, then Cam Waters. And this looks like a gaggle waiting to explode. Alex Davison just slots in behind Davey Reynolds. There's Todd Hazelwood.
He's in the Brute military strength car. The livery changed on that vehicle last week with some new sponsorship. Just on the subject of those stops, you mentioned fuel, Matt. They only need around about 12 litres of fuel. It's covered by the fact that it takes longer to do the stop and get the tyres on. So they won't actually soak up any time taking on the fuel that they do need it to get through. They start with a virtual 65 litres in the car, and they need about 76 odd to be able to complete this race in theory. Tight margin between first and second. Van Gisbergen's got a 0.2 of a second gap, and Alex Davison in trouble in the background through the left-hander back onto what is normally pit straight here. But we're not using the Formula 1 start-finish line or pit lane area. Van Gisbergen over Mostert, then followed by De Pasquale, Waters, McLaughlin up 1 position to 5th. And then Gary Jacobson, Brock Feeney in 7th, Lee Holdsworth, Jake Kostecki, Scott Pye. Focus on Van Gisbergen because he ran very wide at the bus stop. That's the reason why the margin disappeared. So he ran very wide under brakes, went in there a little too hot, easily done. BP Ultimate Replay shows the story for our race leader. He's made himself a little bit more vulnerable to Chaz. De Pasquale tucked right in behind. This is shaping up as a really interesting race. So the strategy is going to be interesting to see when and how people react and respond. Are they being affected by those around them? Do they try for undercuts? Do others do, as we've seen earlier this evening, try for an overcut with some fresh air around them? Anton De Pasquale and Chaz Mostert, bottom right-hand corner of screen.
Some of the movers and shakers inside the top 10 at the moment. Brock Feeney, who of course won the race 16 a little earlier, has made up 4 spots since the start. He's up to 6th position. Lee Holdsworth has gained 5. He's up to 8th. You mentioned Lando Norris. He's been one of the biggest losers so far in the opening lap. He's down to 16th, so he's dropped 7 spots since the start.
Yeah, so he must have been in that skirmish, and I saw you react to it right at the start, Matt, because he's dropped a pile of positions. So Cam Waters is down a spot. McLaughlin's up a spot. Brock Feeney blazing along here.
There he is, 20 years of age, bottom right-hand side of screen. Lando Norris, of course, debuted at the Australian Grand Prix last year. He's done 21 Formula 1 Grand Prix race starts for McLaren. He lives about 3 minutes away from McLaren HQ. Hang on. And he's going to get side by side here with Fabian Coulthard as Jack Doohan tries to get out of that mix. Around the outside for Norris.
Trying to round somebody up on the outside in a supercar in the grey, even in virtual terms, it's not an easy thing to do. So Lando had a moment there in this battle that he's got going with Fabian Coulthard. Jack Doohan's the car up the road, car number 33 for Red Bull Racing. So he's clear by several car lengths at the moment. So just having a look further afield here to see who does what to who. So I think Lando ended up being punished as being, for being on the outside of Will. So he did the motocross tour through the paddock at the top of the straight. And so he went off at Lacombe, and that was what cost him at the start, as I thought.
All right, first stops. Lee Holdsworth has come in. So too Zane Goddard, Jake Kostecki, Jack LeBrock. There's quite a few of them circulating through pit lane at the moment. So Shane Van Gisbergen keeping that 0.4 of a second lead over Chaz Mostert. Anton De Pasquale tucked in behind him. They're 1, 2 and 3. Cameron Waters had a big night. He's in position 4. And then it's Scotty McLaughlin, Brock Feeney, Gary Jacobson, Nick Percat and Jack Doohan.
Looking at the movers and shakers, Jack Doohan's up 13 spots now into 10th place. A little bit of that is those that have pitted as well. But he's actually making pretty good pace. Best lap of the race so far belongs to Scott McLaughlin. Not an easy thing to do when you're negotiating traffic. So he's sitting in 5th place. Probably timely to go to our Pertec pit reporters and get their observations. So Chad and Jonathan have been watching with interest in the last several laps. What do you make of it?
Well, 2 pit stops like we know for this one, Crompo, and there has been a rule mandated this week regarding pit stops, Jonathan.
Yeah, the new pit rule, you have to use the pit limiter in pit lane, because we know there's been drivers trying to exploit the rules, trying to go a little bit quicker without using the limiter. So that's been adjudicated now, and you'll see everybody with flashing lights as they enter the lane.
And also, just regarding the incident points, Chaz Mostert continues to stalk the back of that 97. It goes back to 20 incident points for this one. So they're allowed 10 extra incident points for the reverse grid race. And for this one, it's going to be watched very closely, because towards the end of this race, again, they'll be counting those points up like we did earlier today.
And they push it at the end, Chad, don't they? They really push it once they know they're getting closer to the end of the race, and how many incident points they've got up their sleeves. Oh, that was close. That was close for Mostert.
Had a dive. Had a nice little dig down the inside there. Very low speed corner with a lot of steering lock. In reality, it'd be quite difficult for a supercar to get through there. It's even tighter than the Simmons Plains head here in Tasmania. Awesome shot, Dunlop curb cam. Watches the cars make the run up the hill, Kemmel straight. Great spectating watching the cars arriving up here at 275 kilometres an hour for a supercar, north of 300 kilometres an hour for a Formula 1 car. Into the right-hander at Lacombe. This is De Pasquale putting a cool move here on Mostert. He's on the wrong side of the road, though. It's dirty out there. Can he get it closed? It's still not completed. Chaz is still down the inside here and not relinquishing, and nor should he. So he's making him work for it, hip to hip, and still the battle goes on. And now Anton has to drop back line of stern. So quite rightly, he kept that little battle going, and Mostert was not ready to flinch on that one. And all of that has allowed Cam Waters and Scott McLaughlin to get that little bit closer. In fact, they're dragging Brock Feeney with them at the moment as well. So first car in the field, by the way, is the truck assist car, Lee Holdsworth. That's taken his first of 2 compulsory stops. He's sitting in 15th, so we've got half the field stopped and the other half still to pit.
Just like it is in the real world, Crompo, as you well know, this little duel between Mostert and De Pasquale, while it looked funky, it's playing perfectly into the hands of Shane Van Gisbergen, who's got 1.7 second lead now over Chaz. So a BP Ultimate replay here at Spa, lap 4 out of 14. Shane Van Gisbergen leading the race with Chaz Mostert fighting hard with Anton De Pasquale. They go up through Lacombe. Anton has a look on the outside, tries to control it and does so, manages to maintain the car on the circuit, but this job will not be done here because Mostert fights and fights and fights tooth and nail to keep that position. Second position on the track, 1.8 seconds now behind Shane Van Gisbergen. Anton De Pasquale for this time will have to just cool his jets. Still a long way to go. The top 14 cars on the road at the moment are yet to pit. Oh, that's a big one.
Jaden Ojeda in the Jayco Matt White Motorsport entry. He drives the Nissan in the Dunlop Super 2 Series, one of the young wildcards. It's got to start in this race. That was an awkward moment for him. So we are 5 laps in, a little under 10 remaining, 9.9 on the computer timing. Pertec pit stop shows some of the key runners back into the pit lane now for their first stop.
And that's interesting, Neil. Shane Anton, Gary Jacobson and Jamie Whincup the only ones to stay out. So Van Gisbergen and De Pasquale shadowing each other.
Yeah, so McLaughlin will be looking for an undercut benefit here. And Mostert's doing the same thing. Cam Waters, Monster Energy car, came into tonight's round second place in the BP Supercars All-Stars E-Series. And that's played pretty nicely for McLaughlin when you see Mostert behind him. And there's a bit of wild stuff going on in the background there as well. Somebody was starting to edge out towards the grass.
Whoop, 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 whoop. That's where Scotty Pye's going to go. Question is, does he get back on? He does, but again, makes contact. So Scott Pye, Zane Goddard getting tangled up together. Find where they are on the leaderboard, positions 12 and 13. So it remains Van Gisbergen, De Pasquale, Jacobson and Whincup yet to stop. Good move from Scott McLaughlin in the pit lane. BP Ultimate Replay. Show Goddard and Pye coming together. Just had that feeling that Scotty was going to get it back out there for DeWalt Racing, back onto the circuit, but right at the wrong time.
It was like a second hit, wasn't it? Third one, he'd be down for the count.
Well, this may be the third one. There might be one coming.
Might be return of serve.
Whoa!
Gary Jacobson's got it.
It's Zane.
Zane Goddard, beg your pardon. Had it all cranked sideways, didn't he? So I'm just watching lap speed here at the moment between Van Gisbergen and the first car in the queue now that's stopped in Scott McLaughlin. Actually, Shane's reacting. So they're bringing car number 97 for Red Bull into the lane, and De Pasquale follows him. They had a lively first race this evening when they got to the bus stop, and a bold move by Anton on screen around the outside ended in tears on the exit of the bus stop. How will this race pan out? It's a test of mental strength and discipline.
This will put Jamie Whincup in the lead of the race. Crompo yet to pit. Somebody's got a bit of damage up the back end there of pit lane.
Riding McLaughlin for the rejoin to see how this plays out. And remember, he was aiming for some undercut benefit here. So it takes a moment for Van Gisbergen to get back up to full racing speed. And there is McLaughlin in the background and separated by Anton De Pasquale. So, and that gap will further close, the benefit of the warm tyres on 17 and 25. So McLaughlin and Mostert will range in a little bit closer here. Meantime, as you pointed out, Whincup has yet to stop. And he's got a margin of, what, 8 odd seconds over his teammate Shane Van Gisbergen. And it's going to take more than 30 to come through and do the stop. We're riding with Mostert. Oh, McLaughlin just locks it up in that right-hander at Rivage. On the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. You hear Mostert in the background just fanning the throttle as he slid the car off the corner. And now they go into this long left-hander at 10. And Mostert on screen now, bottom right-hand corner. We're riding on the roof cam of Chaz's Mobile One Appliances Online Walkinshaw Andretti United entry. Looks like he's got pretty good pace there at the moment. He's well and truly stalking McLaughlin. This next portion of the racetrack is an awesome piece of road in reality. They go in to Blanchimont at 265 kilometres an hour. Then it's just how brave do you want to be? How much speed do you carry? How wild do you want to be with track limits? How many points do you want to burn?
A lot of questions there. Up to the final chicane, and then they're heading down towards La Source. So the question is for Jamie Whincup, who's now made up 25 positions, courtesy of being the only one out there yet to pit. When does he come in? Lap 6 out of 14. Got 2 compulsory pit stops in this final race of the BP Supercars All-Stars E-Series. Round 5 out of 10, so we're halfway there. More famous international tracks to come. More great racing on your Wednesday nights to follow as well. So Andre Heimgartner has had some trouble in this race. Todd Hazelwood, group military grade entry, has been mixed up in a bit as well. Run you through the field with Whincup leading yet to pit. It's Van Gisbergen, De Pasquale, McLaughlin. The heavy hitters are at the front. Mostert and Waters there as well. Brock Feeney currently position 7. Gary Jacobson 8. Lee Holdsworth, Jack LeBrock. And it's Percat Pye. Lando Norris in 13th. Fabian Coulthard and then Jack Doohan in position 15.
And the fastest lap remains Scott McLaughlin on a 2-minute 18.3. Best lap we've seen from Van Gisbergen's an 18.7. Jamie Whincup, the leader, best lap for him is a 20.8. Paulie Jones just having a think, trying to exploit the gap down the inside of Andre Heimgartner in the Ned Racing Mustang. Still haven't seen that stop. First of 2 for Whincup. And remember that Jonathan's prediction for the second stop tonight was in a window somewhere between laps 8 and 10. So we're getting very close to that now. So we should start seeing a bit of action shortly.
So 30-second transit time, we're saying, Crompo, in pit lane.
Oh, I think the chopper actually clipped the top of the trees there, which made me duck momentarily, virtually.
God, it was virtual. Yeah, so 30-second stop for Jamie Whincup to come, which will put him back towards position 19 or 20. At the moment, he leads the race. Oh, he's hanging around there, Jade.
That's her up. That was pretty lively. It looked pretty lively coming off the corner there as well. And the guys have said that when you light up off the line or off the slow corners in first gear, and as Joey Logano discovered last week, you start making a lot of wheel spin, and iRacing simulates the virtual temperature you'd get in reality, and it turns the tyres greasy, and I think that's probably exactly what Jamie just experienced. Too much throttle percentage in those low speed, low gear corners is a horror story. That is an awesome piece of racetrack. He still hasn't stopped.
Playing the long game. So what's the story in the battle behind them? Because this is effectively first, second and third. Van Gisbergen, De Pasquale, McLaughlin, Mostert, Waters. Get that feeling now?
Yep. So it's brewing at the moment. It's still in that mid-race phase. Second stop to come, some strategy to play, some pace being shown at the moment, sector split-wise in the first sector by Van Gisbergen. He's looking quick out there at the moment. McLaughlin ranging into this battle. As you said earlier, Matt, it hasn't been a bright, shiny night for him. And that's been anything but the case in the early rounds of the BP Supercars All-Stars E-Series. We've seen some tremendous results.
A couple of drivers already circulating through their second pit stops. So Nick Percat at the head of that queue. Macaulay Jones, Davey Reynolds, Zane Goddard, Bryce Forward. Quite a few others have already done the compulsory pit stop number 2. So that's their time in pit lane done for this evening.
We're going to try and have a bit of an eavesdrop also on McLaughlin just to understand what's going on in the background. So pull up mid-sentence, tune in to Scotty. I think he's got Jim Harris with him in the background for sure. But, yeah, and when they start talking strategy for their second stop, we'll jump in and have a listen. Not sure what Jamie's up to strategy-wise here. So he hasn't got any stops against his name
at the moment, mate.
Gentle
if we pit now, we're going to go back in the pack too far.
So they're trying to avoid traffic, just as it would be in reality. So McLaughlin sitting 4th, but Whincup yet to stop.
Lap 8 out of 14, and Jamie Whincup has finally pulled the trigger and gone in for his first stop. Some of the other guys are going in for their second, so it means that Shane Van Gisbergen is now our race leader from Anton De Pasquale and Scott McLaughlin. Brock Feeney in position number 4. It's busy there in pit lane. The Pertec pit stops are racking up, so you've got to get 2 done this evening, and this will mix up the strategy game for the back end of this race.
So had they taken McLaughlin off the track, put him through the lane, then I was trying to do the math on where he would have lobbed, and it would have sat him in about the mid-pack depending on who else pits, and that's exactly what they don't want. Oh, that was a moment. That was actually quite a moment for the Red Bull number 97 of Van Gisbergen. It cranked sideways on him in the middle of the corner quite significantly, and he had to grab it significantly and turn into the slide. Would have cost him a little bit of time. He's been pushing hard. His sector splits have been quick. The reason he's pushing hard is he's only got a 1 second cushion at the moment over Anton De Pasquale. So 4 seconds adrift is Scott McLaughlin. Then Brock Feeney continues to have a brilliant run tonight. Gary Jacobson, Lando Norris is creeping along as well. Scott Pye, Jamie Whincup, who's done his first of 2 stops. Chaz Mostert, Jake Kostecki. So first car in the queue that has taken a second stop is Lee Holdsworth. He's 12th at the moment. And we're expecting McLaughlin to jump into the lane any tick of the clock for his second stop. We'll listen for that. Last lap for Van Gisbergen was an 18.3. Last lap for De Pasquale was an 18.3. It's a tight battle. McLaughlin's giving away a little bit of pace to them at the moment. His last lap was a 19 flat. 3/4 of a second is a lot. Feeney did a 19.3. Jacobson
bidding this lap.
And it might be tyre condition. So Scott acknowledges. So we'll see car number 17 come in. So same protocol that they use in the Shell V-Power racing car in reality. Short, sharp language, to the point. Absolute clarity, making sure that it's properly understood.
So Scott McLaughlin prepares to enter pit lane here for his second stop. So Jamie Whincup, when he took his first, should have come out around position 17 or 18. Ended up coming out 8th because a bunch of drivers went in and completed their second stop. Just tune into Richard Harrison, Scotty McLaughlin in this Pertec pit stop. The interesting thing, Crompo, is Chaz Mostert is the first of those to have done 2. So he snuck in his second. He's currently in position 9, and he's 36 seconds off the race lead.
There he is at La Source. And McLaughlin's still in the pit lane, taking that second service, and out he goes. Van Gisbergen stayed out there. That's Scott on the right, and we're riding with Chaz, and he's going to grab him with ease. So there's some undercut
benefit. Going past. 1 lap fresher tyres.
And so what Richard is advising there...
He obviously took all his fuel on, I'm guessing.
Yeah, must have.
So he's saying you've got 1 lap pressure tyres, and so that just gives him a picture mentally of what he'll be dealing with in this next stint, which will take him to the flag. 4.5 laps to remain.
5 to go.
So a little bit of mental arithmetic from McLaughlin. He's out on cold tyres. He can see exactly what Mostert is dealing with in terms of that lock-up and the understeer in the middle of the corner. And then the calculations begin. What's the car feel like? What's the balance like? What's the grip like? Where are his strengths and weaknesses? How can I eke out that tiny margin between us? Because it's not a lot. It's the onboard view. So it gives you a bit of an idea of wheel work and inputs. What these front runners have got nailed with this is the way in which they manage the brake pedal and they manage the throttle.
Just looking at the numbers, Neil. So we're on lap 10 out of 14. Shane Van Gisbergen, Anton De Pasquale, Jamie Whincup yet to do their stops. As I say that, Van Gisbergen and De Pasquale head into pit lane. So Whincup's going to become our on-track race leader again. And he's got a 30 seconds behind these guys when they went into the lane.
Sorry, Matty, I wasn't fully tuned in because I was looking at incident points. Mostert's got 23, there's 30 available, and McLaughlin has got 17. And Scotty just checked with Richard. And when I spoke to him earlier in the day, he talked about this. He said it's going to be critical as to how we use them. Do you use them along the way from a strategy play? Or do we use them late in the race to be able to use more of the racetrack? So McLaughlin's conservatism early in the race means that he can be a little wilder with the way in which he throws the car around the back end of the race with just under 4 laps remaining. So that's clearly the way that he's decided to play. And Whincup and De Pasquale at it. And Anton squeaks by. Shane van Gisbergen is the leader of the race.
Yeah, so Jamie's getting monstered out there now. With that final pit stop still to come, that'll shuffle him down that order. So lap 11 out of 14. Van Gisbergen has a 1.1 second lead over Anton De Pasquale. You get the feeling, we knew it was brewing. This one's going to head all the way down to the wire. Chaz Mostert in position 4 will effectively be fighting for third once Whincup processes the lane. Here's Lando Norris and Nick Percat heading down the hill.
Hoping to squeak into the top 10. They're sitting 11th and 12th at the moment. Nelson doesn't care. So Nick is 11th and he's got no margin over Lando, who is right under the rear wing of the Dunlop Super Dealers entry, and he tries to make a move down the inside. That'd be brave because the gap diminishes in the second portion of the corner. And Percat's cracking a wry smile. Lando's got the race face on, and has he got that Mobil 1 Arrow car down the inside? He does, but the problem is the shape of the track in the next left-hander is not conducive to getting that move done. They've got a great battle going. Percat gives him space. Norris has a crack round the outside, still presses on with the long way round.
Any which way he can get it done, he will have a crack.
Oh, it's kind of looking dodgy, isn't it? Blanchimont, high speed. Talked about bravery through here. How wild do you want to make it? How much room do you need to take? Percat used lots. Norris a lot less, and he has a classic wide turn into the bus stop, and Nick was covering a little bit, so Landau probably make a whisker of ground out of that. Now has a look down the inside at La Source. Is he far enough up? Nick offers up some steering lock to close the gap, but Norris has got the rear brakes locked, and Percat goes the long way round. It's the challenge of two racing lines, and they come out the other side by side. It's Webber and Alonso effectively on the run to La Source, only in this case it's Percat and Norris. Can they pull this off? No, Percat runs wide, and he brushes by that fence and gets away with it, pulls some skin off his elbow, scampers out the other side.
They both had a laugh about it as well. Up to Eau Rouge side by side was never going to be pretty. I wonder if Nick actually just got out of the way there. I think you've got him on the line. Nick, that was pretty hairy. Nick, I think you can hear us now. That was pretty wild there through Eau Rouge.
Wasn't it? A bit of fun. Tried to hang the outside of him. How good that my button is on the wrong side, so I have to shift with my right hand now.
I wondered what on earth you were doing. Are you shifting with your right hand?
This is big. Nelson stitched me up here. Yeah, that's big. I thought Norris was me off the road, and we kept it clean. Oh, I nearly down on you. So that was good fun. Scotty Pies into me now. This is big. So yeah, no, I've got a bit happening. I'm gonna be honest. It's all right.
All right. See you, mate. Have fun.
See you, mate.
Hands full in more ways than one.
You'll end up with a reef knot in those arms and you won't be able to move.
Righto, so Chaz Mostert here has Scott McLaughlin all over the back of him. Everyone's done their second compulsory pit stop. Jamie Whincup watch has got him back down in 19th position. So Van Gisbergen's lead is half a second from De Pasquale. And it's about 6 seconds back to these guys, Mostert and McLaughlin. And
Chaz had it cranked sideways through the right and left-handers there. Just had to throw it in there to try and keep the rolling speed up, but he's vulnerable at the moment. 1 lap younger tyre for Scott McLaughlin, and he's hunting the back of Chaz Mostert. The two of them, pictures of concentration, the bottom right-hand corner of screen. So we're running out of meterage. Closing stages of our final race, and Scotty actually on the grass on the run out of La Source, heading down to Eau Rouge, and he's right under the rear wing of the Mobil 1 racer, right with him. And this, when we watched the top 10 shootout earlier on, McLaughlin nailed that run through Eau Rouge and out the other side at Radion beautifully. He's got great speed through there. Can he get it down the inside when they get up to the right-hander at Lacombe? Chaz just parks that thing neatly in the middle of the road and makes the task much, much more difficult. Great battle. This is the battle for the last spot on the podium. The race leaders, meantime, have only got a third of a second between them, Shane van Gisbergen and Anton De Pasquale. So they've got a carbon copy going. The split screen shows the story of precisely what was happening in that first race. And Anton has is actually showing a pile more incident points than you'd like to see. So I'm going to back away from that comment.
So currently he's got 33 next to his name. The penalties come in at 30, so that's going to have to play out. So Shane van Gisbergen has the race lead. Remember, we've still got an investigation pending over the contact for his earlier race. It'll mean that quite a few things will change after this. $1,000 will go to the overall round winner thanks to Armour All, but we'll have to wait until all the penalties fall in before we know who gets all the points. So Chaz Mostert and Scotty McLaughlin dueling on the left-hand side of screen. Van Gisbergen and De Pasquale punching it out on the right.
Yeah, so McLaughlin had a healthy look to see whether he could get the move on Chaz about 300 metres ago, and I'm trying to watch both sides of the screen because De Pasquale is using a pile of meterage on the outside of the racetrack here and there, and he's all over the back of Shane. They make a little bit of contact, and around goes Anton in the bus stop again. Wow. So in race 1 tonight, it was the exit of this corner that caused the trouble, and now in race 3, they're at it again down in that final corner. Well, it's not really the final corner for supercars, it is for Formula 1.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And the question then is, how much will Chaz Mostert and Scotty McLaughlin benefit from this? I think Scott's got past Chaz. He's had a problem there.
Yeah, now I wonder whether there was contact, because we just picked up Mostert gathering speed again, and that has released Scott McLaughlin.
So final lap, 7 Ks to go. Don't worry about the incident points. Don't worry about this racing. So Mostert's got a drama here. He's got problems. So too is that Cam Waters, it is.
Yeah, and the Monster Energy car's pulled off to the
left-hand side. Look at that on the left-hand side. Huge contact. 2 or 3 cars have just gone spearing into the air.
All I saw was Jack LeBrock. In fact, I'm seeing more of Jack LeBrock. Lando Norris. Whoa! And Nick Percat has just nailed the back of that thing, and Brock Feeney as well. I haven't the life of me worked out what's going on there.
I think they got the checkered flag. I think that's what they've done. They've got the checkered flag here. Stopped it a bit short, and these guys have all sort of pulled over to the side of the road and gone nuts. That's exactly what's happened. So it's gone time cert.
Gone time cert.
Yeah. So we were thinking that was the final lap, and it was the one before. What it means is Shane van Gisbergen has the race win on your BP Ultimate results over Anton De Pasquale, Scott McLaughlin. Cam Waters in position 4, Chaz Mostert up there in 5th, so he did slow down, but the race was already done. Brock Feeney, a top 10 performance, a great night out for him. Lando Norris finishes inside the top 10 here in Spa as the Formula 1 Superstar wildcard entry in this BP Supercars All-Stars E-Series. Moving through the field, Mark Winterbottom in 21 and Jaden Ojeda finishing at the rear there in race number 17. Boy, have we got some things to mop up after this one. Before we do that, we'll take a look at some the Koala race highlights. So this was Van Gisbergen crossing the line. So that was time certain by then, Crompo. And that's the race victory locked up. Now, Koala race highlights. So it was Van Gisbergen away from the Armour All pole position from Chaz Mostert to his right. Had Cam Waters and Anton De Pasquale behind them. Back towards the rear of the field, Fabian Coulthard got a slow getaway from the start. Up through Eau Rouge the first time. A little bit of push and shove for Scotty McLaughlin. And he managed to hold on there, which is pretty wild on the way through. Andre Heimgartner, Ned Racing Mustang, Will Davison and Lando Norris all caught up in that, and Mark Winterbottom and the Jayco entry of Jaden Ojeda as well, finding some trouble off the track. Tried to smooth things down as the pit stop started to play. There goes the Jayco entry again, and they started to get into a rhythm. So remember, 2 pit stops. Scotty Pye and Zane Goddard came together once, came together again, and had another crack at it a little bit later on. This is Norris on Percat, who's trying to keep the Formula 1 star at bay. And Lando goes in so tight at La Source that Nick had nowhere to go but so wide. And then this could have just been disaster. Up through Eau Rouge, Nick goes off to the left. Lando gets the position. He'd end up picking up a top 10 finish for his troubles tonight. And here we go again. Through the bus stop, Anton De Pasquale spins around and Shane van Gisbergen gets the victory. Whew.
Well done, Matty. You managed to somewhat navigate your way through that. But one thing is for certain, Anton De Pasquale and Shane van Gisbergen are magnets for each other. Now, as Matt was saying, we cannot actually crown our round winner because of all the post-race investigations that are set to unfold. So, stand by. You'll be able to check all of our social media platforms. Head to supercars.com.au through the week to try and find out exactly what penalties have been handed down. We'll recap them next week when we come back for the next round because, of course, we're heading to the US of A, the Circuit of the Americas next week, and Sebring, which should be a bit of fun.
Bit of fun to head off to North America again. Looking forward to that one with great anticipation. Might take us that long to unravel the results from race 1,
and get
2,
rid of
and
the ice
3
cream
tonight.
headache.
Yeah. Thanks, Jess.
Yeah, thanks, guys. That's all we've got time for tonight. Well done, Matty. Thanks, Neil. See you next week. And we'll see you next Wednesday night for more of the BP Supercars All-Stars E-Series. Thanks for your company. We'll see you then.
The BP Supercars All-Star E-Series is proudly brought to you by BP Ultimate. Clean engine, ultimate performance.
Black Duck seat covers are bred for adventure. We're a family-owned company making Aussie-made seat covers. Our range of high-quality materials provide strength, performance and comfort. Perfect for all those Aussies who work hard and play harder. Black Duck seat covers can handle everyday adventures.